When we think of ancient Rome and engineering, we think of the Pantheon Dome. We think of the aqueducts. We think of Roman bridges. Let's take a look at 5 of the greatest bridges that the Romans ever built. Of course, a number of them will be in Rome, like Ponte Rotto, like the very old Pons Fabricius, just there in the distance, still connected to the Tiber Island, still in use. But we can also go throughout the empire. We're going to explore 5 of the most amazing bridges in the Roman world. In Rome, throughout Italy, and abroad through the rest of the empire. It's going to be an epic journey. Let's explore 5 amazing bridges from ancient Rome.
The Pons Fabricius is Rome's oldest bridge still standing, constructed in 62 BC. And the inscription that repeats 4 times tell us that it was constructed by Lucius Fabricius, son of Gaius, who was superintendent of the roads. And this structure is later incorporated into the 19th century flood walls, but it spans its original length of 62 meters, 5.5 meters wide, through antiquity, through the Middle Ages. With the Pons Aelius, it is one of 2 bridges used to facilitate the passage over the Tiber River, connected to the Tiber Island. It's a wonder that it's been studied, is still admired, and still traversed by pedestrians today.
I'm here at Ponte Rotto. I'm standing on a modern bridge, Ponte Palatino, overlooking the single arch that still stands, what becomes known as the Broken Bridge, Ponte Rotto. Now, it dates back to the time of Augustus, and it's known in antiquity as
Pons Aemilius.
But the original bridge here started in the 2nd century BC, and why it was so famous is it was the first stone bridge in Rome, superseding the nearby Pons Aemilius, the historic wooden bridge of Republican Rome. So what we have ultimately still standing is what remains after centuries of neglect and destruction from, well, the destructive force of the Tiber River when it flooded. So there were attempts, there were designs in the Renaissance times to reconstruct the missing portions, but ultimately this is what we have left, standing here in the Tiber, a hulking ruin that gives us a sense of how impressive the stone bridges were once in Rome. Ponte Rotto is a monument to all that Roman engineering was about.
But there are a number of bridges in Rome, heavily reconstructed, that we can still admire. Let's take a look at 2, starting with the Pons Aelius by Castel Sant'Angelo.
Standing here virtually alone on the bridge leading to Castel Sant'Angelo, which is right on location on top of the remains of the Pons Aelius, originally constructed to lead you from the Campus Martius area over to Trastevere, over to the magnificent Mausoleum of Hadrian.
The massive Mausoleum of Hadrian accommodated emperors for 100 years, and your access to that part of Trastevere was through the contemporarily constructed Pons Aelius.
On October 27th, you have the gathering of the forces of Constantine on this side of the Tiber River, right at the Milvian Bridge. And the battle that took place was legendary. On October 28th, 312. And that's when the forces of Constantine defeated the forces of Maxentius.
Maxentius himself was killed, and Constantine and his forces triumphantly marched into Rome, and the rest was history, which also saw the legalization of Christianity with the Edict of Milan. Now let's travel to Umbria and the Nera River. Here are the remains of the Ponte del Diavolo, the Bridge of the Devil of the Augustan age.
The ruins are imposing, impressive. And in the distance, you get the part of the bridge that does still stand. I'm standing amidst the ruins of the grand bridge of Narni. This is Augustan in date, and what you can see around here amidst the ruins is that it was something spectacular. One arcade still stands, it was on the Grand Tour.
The arch that still stands is at a height of 30 meters. This is one of the tallest bridges constructed in the Roman world. And when we look at the building material, we can see that it uses blocks of travertine stone, but the core of it is that phenomenally resistant concrete. And when we take a look at the actual construction, we can see so many of the iron clamps are still in place, fused in with molten lead to prevent oxidation and rust.
You can traverse across the river and get here very easily on both sides to admire this amazing bridge. This is the bridge of Narni. This is the bridge that's built in the time of Augustus, and it was a wonder, and it was definitely on the route of the Grand Tour, and it should be today.
Now let's travel to Roman Spain, where there are so many amazing bridges, like this one in modern Cordoba, Colonia Patricia, spanning the Guadalquivir River, heavily restored, and this one in Merida, Colonia Emerita Augusta of the Augustan age, spanning the Guadiana River, one of the longest bridges ever preserved in the ancient world, over 700 meters long. But the truest standout is the Alcantara Bridge. Let's explore.
Walking across the Alcantara Bridge over the Tagus River. One of the tallest engineering feats of the Romans. Tallest bridge still standing in the ancient world. So impressive. Cars still drive over it. Who built it? Well, behind me is the tomb of the builder, Gaius Julius Lacer. In the time of Trajan.
Almost 180 meters long, with a top height of 45 meters, it truly attests to the greatness of Roman engineering in the 2nd century AD.
Think about how the Romans got there. From right here at the bridgehead of Trajan's bridge. The bridge ultimately spanned 4/5 of the mile over the Danube. Here its width was about half a mile. So you have an incredible engineering achievement here. 20 huge piers stretching across the Danube, and each arch stemming from those piers was 170 feet long, made of wood. This is how the Romans conquered Dacia under Trajan.
Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget, we need you to subscribe, and then you can follow us every week on Ancient Rome Live.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Ancient Rome Live.